And we are live. This is the Resellers Wake Up. It's Wednesday, 10:22. Uh, Welcome to the show, everybody. We're just a group of resellers. We get together every morning. We talk shop, brainstorm, share ideas, share information, help each other out. And we've been doing this for a long time. And, recently we decided to start doing it live. Hopefully the shows have been kind of giving all of you some ideas, helping you all out, and we appreciate you for watching. Uh, this next Wednesday is the resellers meet and greet Halloween party. So if you've got a costume, there's actually going to be a giveaway for best costume, and Chad can tell you about that.
It's a $50 prize for best costume. We have a set of judges, and if you want to be involved with it, just get a hold of me, and we'll get you a time slot for the show next week. And easy $50 if you have a little imagination. Is it SpongeBob? Imagination. It's too early for that, isn't it?
No, you're good. Yeah, so that's going to be a lot of fun, and I mean, $50 is $50. If you got a cool costume, just get a hold of Chad. Make sure that you find out what time you need to be on, and just be there when you're supposed to be there. And sounds like a good time. But anyway, today we're just going to be talking loosely about like niches, trying to talk about each other's niches and how we kind of got into our niche, and some of us have actually been expanding a lot, trying to get into other stuff, and we're just gonna see where the conversation goes. And we're probably gonna be talking about some FBA sourcing strategies as well. Some of the things that we look out for when we're out there on the street, armed with our smartphones or FBA scanners or whatever it is. Just the ways that we go about it, what we look for, and stuff like that. But as far as niches go, mine was video games, electronics, stuff like that when I first started, and I haven't really expanded too much. I just kind of exploded into doing a little bit of everything. So I mean, video games are still my specialty for sure, but yeah, I've just, thanks to the Hangouts and everything, I've learned a lot about so much other stuff that I don't even feel like I have a niche anymore. But what about you guys? Who's got a niche?
I tell you what, I don't want you talking about my niches. I care for them.
What's your niche, Chad? I know you do like vintage electronics and like.
My actual true niche that I would consider myself well versed, because I don't know if we can say any of us are experts in anything.
I'm not.
But, we've got. When I first started, the old Edison phonographs, the cylinder phonographs, and the regular phonographs for the old style records and stuff, I would restore them. And I guess I'd be considered an expert, since I would take it down to every little piece of the motor and everything and totally restore it. So I can take one apart, put it back together, restore the wood, everything, and I've got one in a museum right now. It's just a passion. Anything you really have a passion for, and you put the time into it. But that's pretty much mine, is records and the old cylinder phonographs. But since we moved in the regular 78 record phonographs, the Victors and stuff like that, so that's where I really excel. The other stuff is, to make money. And
yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I mean, with the video game systems, I can take them apart, desolder the circuit boards, take off all the components, put everything back together. Like, I know how to do the chips and all that stuff. I don't have the right equipment to do it just because it's so expensive, so time consuming. It's not really worth it yet, but I'm sure someday when those become like vintage or whatever, people will pay good money. But I mean, for video game systems, it seems like the cosmetics are more important than anything. Like if you can airbrush and stuff like that, build custom cases, and that's what people really, really like. But what about you, Chris? You got a niche, or you just kind of anything you can make money on?
Yeah, I just like picking up anything I can make money off of, really.
You have any? I know you like ball staff. That
No,
just
fall staff is what I collect the fall staff beer stuff with.
gotcha. Robin, I know you've got a couple little niches. You're always talking about stuff that everybody else is like, what?
No, it's I first started doing eBay, selling just like linens and stuff. And so the first thing I thought of whenever you said that was that shower curtain I just sold for almost $60.
That's what mine.
So yeah, just like old kids cartoon bed sheets and shower curtains and that kind of stuff is how I started on eBay. So I learned pretty early on that those things sell quite well. And then the little knick-knacky stuff, because I live out in the boonies. We have a lot of people out here who like their little knickknacks to sit all over their house and everywhere else. So there's a plethora of that right around here in Redneckville, which is just awesome for me because people don't usually, put a value on that kind of stuff because it just basically takes up space and looks pretty. So they sell it for really cheap, and I buy it and resell it and make about $20 or $30 on average on each little thing I spend like 50 cents on. There have been a few things that I've picked up that I've sold for more, like there was some trinket boxes. A lady sold me a whole box of the Mojang, I guess that's how you say it, trinket boxes. And I sold all of them for $50 or more. One of them I sold for $150, I think. Little stuff like that.
Yeah. Hi, Biscuit Head.
Hi.
Say hi to everybody.
Say hi to everybody out there watching. Hi.
Hi, sweetheart.
Mike, I know besides cell phone cases, what's your niche?
And we had this discussion yesterday, but my niche is kind of doing 20% of each niche.
Right. Yeah.
But I've kind of had a history of getting into a niche and then kind of bouncing out of it full time and just in the top 20% of the niche. So I did it with records, phone covers, shirts, and clothing, then suits and jackets, all those types of things. So I just kind of, it's almost like my eBay is kind of a general store for the top 20% of things that sell well.
So basically, you have a ton of different niches, or you've done enough niches, and you've got enough experience in enough niches that you can go around, pick out the stuff that is actually worth money, like good money, and you can just recognize it, grab that, and sell that.
Right, and my latest niche is Amazon. Retail arbitrage, man. I've been just totally going at it, and that's kind of how I do it. Is when shirts, when I started doing the shirts thing, and I just kind of went at it, man, killing it. Then I picked the top 20%, and so now when I go picking shirts or jackets or any of that kind of stuff, I pick just those ones that I know are gonna sell for a high price, and those become like kind of my long tails. And then I have, like video games, for instance, is a niche that I started getting involved in. So I kind of just went out there and did everything, and now I'm catching up to the 20%, top 20%. And we've talked about that as well. So.
Right. Yeah, I'm kind of finding myself doing that, and I mean, like I never really became an expert on clothing, but just from Raken's videos and his ebook that he released, I mean, you learn so much so fast about that. I mean, I just went out and bought a ton of clothes, thinking, man, can't believe it, and I fell into the trap of not listing as I was buying, and you know what I'm talking about. And I would pick up a shirt for $2, like, man, that's only $2, or pick up a jacket for $5 or whatever. And now I'm at the point where I'm kind of cherry picking my own stuff. I'm going through, I'm pulling out the stuff that's worth a lot of, like, that I know I can get a lot for, you know, the interesting stuff, the vintagey stuff, you know, like the Ralph Lauren polos with the cool embroidery, not just the regular polos. You know, nice pearl snaps that really have a lot of good color, you know, like the expensive coats, that sort of stuff. And now I don't know what I'm going to do with the rest of that stuff, though.
Well, that's a good example that we need to let these folks that are new understand. When you're out buying, because like you said, you have, you know, you're cherry picking your stuff, and you need to, when you're out buying, when you make a purchase, you need to be educated on whether or not that will sell or it won't sell. That's one thing that Kim and I have done. You know, people say, well, what do you do with your stuff that doesn't sell? Well, our intentions are everything that we buy should sell. Some stuff may sit for a while, but it's going to sell. So you don't want anything that you buy end up sitting around your house saying, I don't know, you know, I don't want to take the time to list it. That would be considered a bad buy, and you develop a hoard that way.
Yeah.
So whatever you buy has to be worth taking the time to list. And we've just seen it so many times, you know, that there's just so much stuff sitting around, and I've been guilty of it. There's just so much stuff sitting around, and you're like, man, but yet you continue to go out and buy.
Yeah.
So either get rid of the stuff, whatever way, take a loss, whatever, or get it listed.
Yeah, I'm kind of that way too. I mean, I'm trying to find ways to, you know, just find other ways to get rid of the stuff that, you know, I don't really deal with. Like yesterday, I took this Magnavox record player. It's a real nice record player, made in England. It even had like a weird plug on it and everything. I mean, I paid like $5 for it at a thrift store, and I mean, I probably could have sold it online for 50, 60 bucks, maybe more, but it would have sat forever. But I was at the pawn shop, and it's like, oh, I wonder if they'll take it, and they gave me $20 for it. I was like, sold. I don't have to deal with it anymore. I made some money. I'm cool with that. I really need to find. I wish I could find a place that I could really unload this clothing on. You know, the stuff that I don't want to deal with, because I know there's still a lot of money in it, and I'm really picky about what I grab as far as the quality goes and everything. But yeah, it's tough. And I've got other stuff too that I've done.
Yeah, a lot of people say, well, it's, you know, it'll sit there and take forever to sell. Well, guess what? It's sitting in your corner or sitting in your garage. You know, it'll take forever. It'll take even longer than forever to sell if it hasn't been listed or hasn't been taken to a pawn shop. It's just a matter of, you know, and I hate to say it, but we're in fourth quarter now. So you shouldn't have a whole lot of stuff that's not listed because, or it's not, you know, you should, right now, theoretically, should be the time to where you're like, oh, I need to go get stuff to get listed, because during this slow time, everybody was preaching, you know, while you're not making these sales, use your time to get this stuff listed, get your inventory listed, list, get ready for fourth quarter, list, and, you know,
yeah,
you need to be out trying to find stuff. And Ronnie Hart is another great example of this. You know, he's like, oh, I need to find stuff to, you know, so he's out humping it trying to find stuff. He's already got his stuff listed, and I mean, and that's the way you want to do, especially this fourth quarter. You don't want to have to be getting caught up, because that's what you did all summer, should have done. It's just a learning experience.
That's right. I mean, I think going into August, I had about 400 listings, and I'm up to 650 active right now. I mean, I've really been trying to stick to that 10 a day, and I mean, I try to get, you know, 25, 30 listings done at least on one day out of every week. And I mean, that it helps your sales a lot when you list a lot. I mean, that's the kind of the key to making eBay work. But now that I'm getting into Amazon, I feel like I've got enough inventory listed on eBay, and a lot more of it is long tail. I'm just kind of sending stuff as it comes off of eBay to Amazon, because man, that FBA is really, really, really simple and very convenient. I like it a lot so far. But yeah, How are you doing on Amazon? I know we've been everybody talks about it. Every once in a while, I hear from you.
Who are you talking to?
Chad, you.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it's a failed story. It's just a matter of, we got that first shipment in, and it's been a rough month and a half for us. It's not because of our business or anything like that. It's just with what's going on around here with her father passing away. And I'm not trying to use it as an excuse or anything, but it's just, it's just taking its toll. It's really hard on her. Therefore, it doesn't.
Cameron, Zach,
It's just hard to get motivated. But I'm doing some merchant fulfill just as we go. Not a whole lot of. Haven't hardly listed anything on eBay. Haven't sent anything else into Amazon. It's just one of those things that it's just going to take a little bit of time to get out of. And it happens to everybody, so just keep that it's happening on fourth quarter.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I understand what you guys are going through. We've all been through it. I mean, right after I got with my wife, her dad passed away, and it was it's pretty rough. And
Yeah, but also, and we're part-time, so this isn't a must-have income for us, so that makes it easier, just not doing it. I'm sure if it was something that I had to do to, to make the bills and stuff like that, then, I mean, it would suck, but but I would do it. We've always had this saying, and everybody's heard us saying, if it's not fun, we're not going to do it. And we just can't have any fun right now. I mean, we're not getting anything out of it, so therefore, and that's just the way it is with us. It's not a cop-out. It's not a sellout. It's just, it is what it is with us. And that's how we've always been, That's just us.
yeah, I hear you. Yeah, it kind of sucks sometimes when you have to do it. I know how you feel. If I didn't love it, I wouldn't do it. And I mean, that's kind of what I promised myself when I lost my job a year ago. It's like I'm just gonna do what I want to do. Like right now, this isn't what I plan to do forever. I mean, in 5 years, I plan on. I mean, my big hobby, true love, whatever, is definitely jiu-jitsu, and I gotta get good enough at that before I can start teaching people. But it takes a long time. It's kind of like getting a doctorate, really, as far as the time and the amount of just time on the mat takes to get good enough where people are. You could definitely feel comfortable getting showing people how to do this stuff. But yeah, that's just what I'm doing until we get there. But
and if you're successful at it, I mean, if you put a lot of hard work into this reselling and stuff, you'll set yourself up in a position to where if you need to take a month off, you can do it. If you want to take a vacation for a month, you can do it. There's that cushion after you've done it for a while that you develop. That's the key about working for yourself and creating your own. If you get into a funk, then you have that, like we can take a month off if we just don't feel like doing it. And that's a good thing about this job. If I had to go to a 9-to-5, I would be the most worthless person right now that anybody could have on their books.
yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I had a thought, but I totally forgot. But hey, Eric, we're talking about niches today, and I know you've got a couple pretty good ones. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what your niches are and kind of the experiences you've had with them?
I sell other people's junk.
Explain yourself, sir. I mean, we're all. I don't know if any of us are experts on anything here, but I think we could, except for you. I mean, you could probably consider yourself an expert on a couple of things.
No, I'm really not. I guess one good niche is the fire starter or paper. A lot of people pass a lot of paper up, thinking that it's really not worth anything, but what they fail to realize is that a lot of times that paper holds information that is otherwise lost. You know, things that aren't on the internet.
And we're not just talking about books here. You're talking about like old reports and old essays, that sort of thing. Stuff.
Yeah, I mean, all kinds of stuff that's out there, even maps. You know, not everything is on the internet, despite how big it is. You know, there's still a ton of information out there that is not posted on the internet, but it can be found on paper. And a lot of times that paper can be found in the bottom of somebody's cabinet in their house. You know, especially when it comes to militaria. Yeah, back in the day, the reporting and the records keeping of the Army and stuff was horrible, even worse than it is today. So a lot of awards and stuff were just kind of handed out, and the original copy of the paper was handed out with the award. You know, so when guys were given mass awards and stuff, you know, that might have been the only copies of that stuff, and you have no other way to find out if that guy was legitimately given an award or not, because the papers aren't in their archives. Well, you come across, you know, that award paper in an estate, and they'll have like 20 guys listed on it. You know, now you have 19 other people out there that have been looking for that paper that might have his medals or something of that nature. So that little simple piece of paper becomes valuable all of a sudden.
And what kind of value are you talking for something like that, typically?
Well, it depends on the situation when it comes to militaria. I mean, you know, was the guy, you know, did he die in action on D-Day, or, you know, did he, you know, die from a random mortar attack? You know what I mean? Those situations make a huge difference in value. When you get into the Navy stuff, which I don't do a lot of, you know, did he, you know, die in action in Pearl Harbor, or, you know, in a boat fire somewhere else, you know?
Okay, so this is mostly like families looking for that kind of thing. They're trying to prove that their grandpa or great-grandfather or whatever.
No. Truthfully, the majority of families don't care. It's the collectors that are out there looking for it.
So like maybe somebody's buddy?
No, just collectors.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like me, you know, I collect from the 38th Infantry Regiment, because that's the regiment that I served with, and I have stuff all the way back to World War I. You know, and I care about it a lot more than the family does, I'm sure.
Right. Hi, Danica.
Morning, Danica.
Hey,
But I mean, that's just one piece of paper that, you know, as an example. Trying to think of some of the other stuff. I mean, people that are into genealogy, or people that are just into area histories, you know. Say you get an old hand-drawn map of Kentucky, you might have somebody that has a vested interest in the history of Kentucky and wants to see what it looked like in 1884, hand-drawn by somebody.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. I could see how that would be interesting. What about the military in general? I mean, do you specialize more in the paperwork part of it, or do you? I mean, you do a lot of the helmets and the like uniforms.
Yeah, I do everything in the military. I actually don't do a whole lot of helmets, only because the expensive ones, to make your money in them, you really have to specialize in it, because there's so many fakes out there.
Yeah, that's actually one of the points I wanted to make when we were talking, or when I was thinking about this topic today, is how many niches, like how careful you have to be when you don't know what you're getting yourself into. You know, if you want to start expanding into a new niche and you think you have something, and I mean, this goes for everything from clothing to video games to DVDs, whatever. You know, I mean, there are fakes out there for everything, and if you don't know enough, and you're not sure, then you really got to make sure you know what can be faked, what kind of stuff is fake, what to look for before you go spending a lot of money on stuff. I mean, if you're picking something up for $1, that you can take a chance on that. But if you think you know what you've got, and it's like a $100 item at an estate sale, and it turns out to be a fake, then you're stuck with it.
Right. Well, and that's the problem with military, is it's very inundated with fakes because of the amount of money some things are worth. You know, helmets is a prime example. You know, I've seen D-bales sell for over $20,000 for a single helmet. So that encourages somebody to try to create one and sell it, you know, even if they get half of that, you
Yeah,
know,
and
they're taking a helmet that otherwise is worth, you know, $40 and turn it into double digits like that, you know.
right, yeah. So a D-bell, would that be like a helmet worn by a soldier on D-Day, or?
No, a D-bale it was a early airborne helmet. The bales on the helmet is what holds the chin strap. So D-bales, basically the bales look like a D. They were welded to the helmet. It was actually a really poor design, and generally when you find them, they're broke off or they've been field repaired with fixed bales, which were a more square um, attachment.
Okay.
So there's not a whole lot of D-bales out there, which is why, you know, they're so valuable. I see one, maybe one every 2 or 3 months come up on eBay that's legit and get sold, if that.
Gotcha. So, I mean, that's when you're looking at that kind of stuff, though, you're talking about being a real expert on the items and,
Yeah, I mean, even with a D-bale, I mean, even with both bales broken off and not attached to any unit or person, it will still sell for 800 to 1,000.
oh my goodness. And what about uniforms? Those have to be pretty easy to fake. I mean, are they even, is there a lot of stuff like that that's valuable, or the metals, that sort of thing?
Yeah, uniforms is another one that are put together constantly. Um, you either have to buy it for the you know, the price of the parts that are on it, or you know, if it comes with provenance, or you know what I mean, then you're going to spend a little bit more on it.
Gotcha.
But
Yeah,
so
the provenance is another thing. I don't know. Everybody's heard that word pop up a lot on like some of the TV shows and everything about reselling. I know I've just kind of been introduced to it myself since I started watching all those shows. But provenance is, you know, being able to kind of have some evidence to prove the background of whatever item it is you're trying to sell. And I mean, if you're starting to get into high dollar stuff, you got to have that provenance, or
yeah,
you're not going to
here,
get
give me a second. I'll go get something and I'll show you provenance.
awesome. Hey, Danica, we're talking about our niches today, and just kind of trying to get people a feel for how we got into ours, what we kind of what we do, and like our experience getting into new niches. Just sharing each other's experience. What's your niche? Do you even have one?
Me? I don't think. Well, I mean, the things that I know the most about would be, like all of the higher end crafty type things. The $50 yarns and things like that for knitting and needles and things like that, and then the homeschool materials. But
Yeah, I mean,
other than that, I just try to learn a bit about everything that I can.
yeah, those homeschool materials can be really good money. I found a pretty nice setup about a month
It's
ago.
crazy what people pay, especially if you find one that they've changed it. And the person doesn't like the way that they changed the curriculum.
Yeah, what's the
They'll
name of
pay
it?
$400 for something that originally was $50 just because they don't want their kids learning that.
What is that called?
Know
What is the
what?
pre-core or something like that?
Oh, Common Core.
Yes, common.
Common Core is crap.
But there's that a lot of the new stuff is coming out, and it's all Common Core, right? And the older stuff is really desirable, like all that pre-Common Core homeschool material.
Yep. Well, here's the thing. A lot of homeschool companies are saying, aligned with Common Core. Well, they didn't change anything. All they did was make it so that they learned, percentages in the third grade instead of second grade, like they did before. A lot of the homeschool things, it was just switching around. But people see that Common Core and they automatically hate Common Core, so they want something that doesn't say aligned with the Common Core.
Gotcha. So you're looking for
Makes
dates
sense.
or just statements on the packaging? Like, what do you look for when you're looking at trying to find stuff that's not Common Core?
If it's not Common Core, it won't. It just won't say anything about it.
Oh.
You know, because there was no Common Core before, so you know, unless it says aligned with the Common Core, then it's not.
Gotcha. So, Eric, you said, what were you going to show us?
All right, so, you know, I like I said before, I collect 38th Infantry Regiment. The two highest awards in the Army is obviously the Medal of Honor and then the Distinguished Service Cross. So this soldier, this is his Distinguished Service Cross. He was killed in action in Korea in 1951. He was actually recommended for the Medal of Honor. Well, all killed in action awards are engraved. I don't know if you can see the engraving or not.
No, it's pretty blurry, but I can see that it's engraved.
Yeah, I'll have to put pictures up if someone really wants to see it. Well, so the engraving style, it is the official type because engravings can be faked. Now, with this particular award, the provenance behind it is that, you know, obviously it went to the family of the soldier after his Medal of Honor was downgraded to the Distinguished Service Cross. From there, a collector who is a retired general, General Gaynor, purchased it. From his estate, another collector and museum consultant out of Canada purchased it from his estate, and that's who I purchased it from. So I have the entire, you know, lineage of that medal, where it's been and who's owned it. With that came his entire file from the National Archives. And it's got all his recommendations and what he did to be recommended for the Medal of Honor. It's basically got everything on him during that time, all the letters, everything that's signed. And these are only copies because you can't obviously get the originals from the archives. And what that does is that takes that engraved medal without this paperwork is worth about $500. With this paperwork, I purchased it for $3,500 and got a good deal on it.
And that's something, if you really wanted to, you could resell it. But, I mean, we all have...
If I wanted to, I could probably get $5,000 out of it.
And it's just because of the paperwork.
It's because of the paperwork and because of the situation. My regiment in particular only had 4 Medal of Honor recipients in the Korean War. So for him to have been recommended and made it all the way to the final stages and got downgraded is a pretty rare occurrence. Not only that, to have all the paperwork with it that proves all that, because in 1974 there was a records fire and most of the records were destroyed down in the archives. So, I mean, it just all goes, it all plays into it when you get into collectibles and niches and stuff like that, you know. But I've seen Distinguished Service Crosses get up into 10,000 plus, depending on what they were awarded for and who they belong to.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same with everything. They're
Right, and that's where the provenance come in. If that was just a standard engraved medal without any research, you're looking at $500.
right. But I mean, the amount of research that goes into some of this stuff is
Right.
It makes $5,000 seem like a bargain.
Yep. I actually just sold one for $200 that was engraved because I couldn't get any information on it.
Right. And
Eric, I got a question.
Yep.
For that paperwork, I mean, is that like Freedom of Information Act? Because that's like personal records and stuff.
Anybody that left the service from 1955 and prior is public record.
Okay.
After 1955, you have to request it Freedom of Information Act. So when you do a Freedom of Information Act, you only get basically a sheet back with their service record that somebody at the archives typed up. Prior to that, you can get copies of their entire file. So like that, I purchased it with that paperwork, but I have a researcher who goes and does copying and looks people up for me. And I pay her, and that's what she does for a living. And so she goes in every morning and starts pulling files and making copies if it exists. You have 3 ways that you can get records back. Either the file is there and you're lucky and they make a copy of it, or the file was damaged by the water when they were putting the fire out, and they send it up to Ohio and restore what they can to the file, or you just get a little slip back that says unfound, which means the file is gone.
Gotcha. So,
Which 80% of the time you get the third option back, file unfound.
Huh.
I don't remember the number, but it was in the millions of records that were destroyed and lost completely.
So, I mean, military is probably one of those. I mean, I know I've never seen anything. You don't see medals or anything like that for sure. I've found a few, like, wool, old uniform stuff, and, like, everything back to, like, World War II and Korea up to modern. But, like, I don't think I've ever seen a helmet or anything crazy like that. I've never seen, like, I mean, I've seen boots. Yeah, I've never seen medals. That's all stuff that you're usually going to find at estate sales and auctions, right?
Yeah, I mean, I found it all over the place. You'd just be amazed of, once you see it a few times. Remember we were talking the other day about something in your mind and to make you see it more. Once you start thinking about it, you'll see it more.
Well, what about what do you suggest to somebody? What to look out for if they're interested in maybe getting into this, and maybe like the easy pickings type stuff, and the stuff to look out for, the stuff to pass on, that sort of thing. I mean, what's really common? What do you see enough of that is worth a little bit of money that you should jump on when you grab them? I mean, like, is it medals and ribbons and stuff like that, or is it like
when it comes to military, you're going to really have to do a little bit of research, because it is a niche that is extremely common, but the harder to find items bring high dollar. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's so much common stuff out there. I mean, especially when it comes to surplus and everything else. And I mean, you really have to get into it as a niche, because the difference between a 1941 marked canteen and a 1942 marked canteen is about $600.
Oh, wow. So
you're going to find 1942s by the truckload. You won't find 1941s.
So if I'm at the weigh and pay and I see a 1942 canteen sitting in the bin, I should not even bother grabbing it because it's probably not worth the money that I pay for it, or is it?
No, I mean, you'll get $10 out of it.
Okay. So that kind of stuff is safe.
Yeah, I mean, when you find stuff at the weigh and pay like that, you're fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like those boots that I should have grabbed the other day.
Right. But when you're at an estate sale or a yard sale and somebody's got a box of 1942 canteens and they want $20 a piece, you should probably pass. But if it was a box of 1941s, I'd buy every single one.
Gotcha. So that just comes down to
that's the kind of thing that you really got to be part of that niche to learn about it.
Yeah, you got to get into the community. You've got to start like checking the forums. I know you run one, right? Is it your forum?
Yeah, I run the Allied Militaria Forum.
The AlliedMilitariaForum.com?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So if you guys are interested and maybe learn a little bit about Militaria, go check out Eric's website, his forum. It'd be a good place to start. I'm sure there's a lot of good information there. I know if he knows his stuff.
We have several hundred members. It's a bit of a controversial startup because we broke away from a much larger forum of about 20,000 members. So we've been blackballed at this point, but we're surviving. And, we have guys that have been collecting for 40, 50 years, and I think we're up to 13 different countries of members.
Well,
do you ever worry about who's buying it?
What's that?
You ever worry about who's buying the things?
In what sense?
I don't know, because you know how you have people that, will, well, I guess it would be the newer items, though, that they try to say, oh, look what I earned or whatever.
Oh, you're talking about fakers? I
Yeah.
don't worry about it. I don't quiz my customers, and I do sell some modern stuff because they're the right price. There's money in anything,
Right.
but the thing is, though, is they can get on the internet and buy anything that they want anywhere, So by me quizzing them and refusing to sell to them is really not going to stop, I guess the
Well,
piece
they
of
would
shit
probably
from
be
them.
looking for the cheaper fake items anyways, right? Someone like that?
Yeah, I don't know. I've ran into them. I've never really took the time to sit and talk to them.
Right.
You
No,
know,
I
but
didn't mean to imply that you would knowingly sell to someone that that's what they were trying to do. I just wondered if it,
right,
if it
no,
was a
I
big
understand.
thing.
Yeah, I don't really worry about it. There's really not much I can do about it. If I run into somebody that I know is a fraud, I let them know. I'm one of those people. I earn my medals, and I'm proud of my service. So I really do get irritated when I see the fakers. And if
Exactly.
anybody wants to see something pretty funny, just look up Phony Navy SEAL of the Week on YouTube. It's Don Shipley's channel. I think it's like Bud's 151 or something. He's a former Navy SEAL that outs fake Navy SEALs, and he's freaking hilarious.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's one you got to go check out. It sounds pretty funny.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's a great dude, and he is what you would call the real deal. He was actually the youngest Navy SEAL to ever graduate. He became a Navy SEAL at 18.
Whoa.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, my one of my team leaders was the youngest at the time, the youngest distinguished honor grad at Ranger School. That was pretty cool.
That's cool.
Really
Probably,
cool.
the record's probably changed by now, but what's
Yeah.
up, Jake? How you doing, man?
What's going on?
Not much. What's going on with you?
Oh, just got my 2 cups of coffee going.
Yeah, I finished my 2 cups by about 5 o'clock this morning.
Yeah, I need to start getting back up early again.
Yeah. I hear you, man.
I've been slacking.
So just to fill you in a little bit, we're talking niches today. We're talking about kind of like what the only expert on the panel I feel is on anything is Eric there, but we're just talking about we're just talking kind of about what our niches are, touching on how we got into it, the kind of stuff that you need to know to get into that niche, and just how the experience we've had getting into other niches, trying other things, some of the pitfalls that we run into, that sort of thing. But
Right.
I know you're the hat expert.
I wouldn't quite call it an expert, but yeah, that is my niche. How I got into it? The mixture of 2 things. One, I just love hats. Since I was a kid, if a hat fell on the ground, I would just burn it, get rid of it, throw it away, whatever. I would never wear it again. As I got older and got into reselling, I just found that they're cheap and they're everywhere. Like, I love the fact that I could pick up 10 hats for 50 cents a piece, and eventually I'm going to sell at least 8 of them for probably 10 to all the way up to 50 or more.
Yeah, I've started getting into hats just a little bit when I find them super cheap, and I find that it is a really good niche to get into. I mean, you can take one look at the hat, and it's really easy to make sure that it's in good shape. You know what a good hat is, and
Right.
they're so cheap. You can get them at Goodwill all day for like $1, and
Right.
know the trendy stuff. I've been picking them up at the weigh and pay when I see them. I mean,
See, that's what I want to do. I'm about an hour and 40 minutes away from weigh and pay.
yeah. Well, my way and pay, the problem is there are a lot of pros there, and they travel in packs, and they coordinate, and the hats just get grabbed. You know, I mean, these guys will literally, you've got to be, if you want to go for the hats, that's what they're grabbing, and they just take them all. Right
Yeah,
there.
that's what I would do.
Yeah, exactly. They don't even look at them. The same with shoes and stuff, like any shoes that look good, that stand out. I've been getting into those a lot. Those are another really, really easy niche to get into just because it's so easy to, once you figure out what sells, you know, and how much stuff it goes for. If you know just enough about shoes to, you know, because you've been to Foot Locker or whatever and you see how much that stuff retails for, then, I mean, there's somebody out there that'll pay $30 for a used pair of shoes that retailed for $200 all day long.
Exactly.
And, I mean, if it's a $4,000 pair of Air Jordans, I've got those Air Jordans that I picked up a few weeks ago listed, and I've got them for $250. If you go back to our first episode, I think it was our first episode where I mention them and show them off a little bit, and they're also in one of my, no, I didn't finish that haul video, but I mean, these things are thrashed, but I looked them up, and they still sell for like $200, so I put them up for $250 with best offer.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I mean, it doesn't, clothing, I guess that hats and shoes, if you want to get into clothing, that's a good place to start just because they're so easy. You don't have to take a bunch of measurements. You just put the size. I mean, I don't measure shoes. I just put the size. But if there's like the European size and the Chinese size or whatever, I don't even know what all those numbers mean. I just write them down with the abbreviation in my listing, and that's been good enough so far. I haven't had anybody return a pair yet.
Now, I have heard of people measuring from heel to toe and across at the widest point on shoes.
Yeah, I've heard of that too, and I'm probably going to start doing it just because measuring, once you get used to it, it's just another thing to mitigate any issues, like what we were talking about yesterday, what you can do to stop people from, you know, just to nip those return issues off at the bud. Just provide as much information as possible.
Right.
But yeah, so yesterday was pretty good. Did you do anything yesterday? Any good sales? Any kind of
No, I didn't do many sales yesterday. I went sourcing. I picked up 70 of the little cars, the Tagamotos. Apparently they sell good in lots, and some of them sell singles. But I only gave like 50 cents a piece for them. So, I mean, if I sell them for $5 a pop, I'm happy as can be, and it'll get my defect rate down.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Like another thing we were talking about yesterday is strategies to kind of try to build up pad your feedback, I guess.
Right.
And selling cheap little items like that, does a pretty good job of if you sell, how many did you say you picked up? 70 of them?
70 of them.
Yeah, I mean, if you list 70 of them for $5 a piece, or you list 10, like 5 lots of 10 and a couple of and the rest of them for $5 or $10 a piece, whatever, however you do it. I mean, that's a lot of auctions, and it's a lot of cheap auctions, and you know, just once you leave feedback, people will leave it back for you. But
on that note, I've not tried it, but I've planned on it. I've heard coupons is a great way to do that because you can sell them real cheap and it costs you nothing. So even if
a lot of people
cover
sell
your
coupons.
cost, you're basically buying feedback and you can sell a ton of them.
so
You have to make sure, though, when you sell a coupon that you're selling your service and not the coupon itself. Because it says on the coupons you can't, sell the coupon. So you're not selling the coupon. You're selling your service with clipping and shipping.
And are you shipping these coupons out to people, or are you just like scanning it and sending it to them? So
you got to ship it to them, but you just drop it in an envelope with a stamp.
You've got to be really careful with that if you're working on building up your feedback rating, because if you're trying to get top rated, you have to upload at least 90% of your tracking. And if you don't upload, if you send something that you sell with a stamp on it, then, I mean, it's no good. You have to put local pickup only, and make sure that when they buy the item, they buy it with local pickup. And I got to test that, because that might be a way to get around the whole tracking thing. with smaller items, because there's a lot of stuff that I like to sell that's cheap like that. And I mean, I'll sell when I was selling that stuff, I would sell, I'd be able to list 20 or 30 items an hour easily, and it would just like casually, not even thinking about it. And it was like $2 or $3 items and free shipping, and I just put a stamp on it, send it off. And when you sell like 5 or 10 of those a day, then it adds up. And with on top of that, you're selling your big like $100 item for the day, or you're like $10 or $20 items. It adds up a lot.
Well, we'll have to do some research on the coupon thing.
Yeah, I know recipes are one thing that people talk about doing a lot. Like they'll sell recipes, and I think that's where I heard about the local pickup only thing. Like if they buy it with local pickup, and then you just email them the recipe, and then you get the feedback. But yeah. Now, you've been working on how many FBA shipments have you done so far, Eric?
The one that I posted last night will be my third.
Third one. And how you been? Most of your shipments have looked like that. Just it's all books, right? Are you doing any retail arbitrage?
No, my first 2 shipments were all retail arbitrage.
Okay.
They were only about, I don't know, maybe 30 pounds, 40 pounds a piece. This one's my biggest one yet, and it's $385.
Yeah, that was a big shipment. If you guys haven't seen that picture, oh my gosh.
That's crazy.
Thrift store
It's about 250 books, and then the rest of it's retail arbitrage.
Right on.
I actually picked up I picked up an Oric filter at one Walmart, and it was on clearance, and I made $20 profit on it. It was only in my store about 3 days. I happened to go in a different Walmart that had a stack of them, so only 3 of them were completely undamaged. So those are going out. Hopefully they'll sell just as quick.
Nice. Yeah, I've been finding stuff like that. I'm getting a little frustrated at all the grocery stuff that I'm finding, and I've noticed that the gated stuff tends to be much higher profit, just because people are falling off. Once they gate that.
Right, smaller market.
Yeah, well, here's what I think is going on with FBA. As they gate things off, the people that were just sending stuff in and not making any money because they were idiots about their pricing go away. They stop selling eventually, and their stuff sells out, and then new people aren't coming along and finding those same stupid products. I was at Dollar General yesterday just to do a little bit of retail arb, and that's what I wanted to talk about, was some of the techniques and, not necessarily the sources or the actual items, because we all have our secret items and, can't really talk about those, but we can talk about a lot of the strategies and the things that we look out for. And
yeah, my secret is I go to the clearance section.
I do the same thing. That's the first place I go. But it's a little frustrating. When I was at the Dollar General yesterday, I just started scanning stuff that I knew I could sell, and it seemed like everything, if it was in the system, it was pretty much the same price that Dollar General was selling it for, which tells me that there are a lot of people that go to Dollar General to do retail arbitrage because it's really cheap. You can buy these $3 items, and every once in a while you find that $3 item that'll sell for 10. But for the most part, I found one thing that was hidden in the back of a shelf, a little board game thing, $3, and it was $10 on Amazon. So I grabbed that, but it looked like somebody had hidden it. So I don't know if the place had been picked over already by somebody else, or if it's just really common.
What you got to remember about the retail arbitrage, though, is if you're picking it up from Dollar General, chances are it's in more than one Dollar General, and if it's not on clearance, chances are it's readily available for somebody to arbitrage onto Amazon. Now, when you go to Target or Walmart or whatever, and you're picking their clearance section, well, that could just be that store or that area that has those items on clearance. So your competition's not going to be as high because, nobody else has access to that clearance section unless you go to that store,
I've totally noticed that. The other thing about Dollar General, like I was saying, their stuff is so cheap that it's really, really easy to get into that stuff. It's easy to break into FBA when you can drop $100 or $50 on just, and you can fill up a box. Anybody can do that. And then they send it off, and then they realize, oh wait, I'm only making this much on it. And I mean, some of these guys probably can't even do the math, and they're not business people. And that's why they're like, oh well, I paid $3 for it. I guess I'll try and get $3.01 just because it's been sitting in my store for a week. You know? I mean, like but then here's the thing that I noticed. When I started scanning the health and beauty stuff, that stuff was coming up left and right for 3 to 5 times the value of what it was. I mean, everything that I found that was worth money, besides off the clearance rack, the stuff that I could make some money on, was gated. So I'm really gonna try hard to get ungated or get some of the restrictions lifted off my account. I mean, I feel like it's something that you've got to do if you want to really get into retail art, because I mean, that's the stuff that not just anybody can get into. And once it becomes gated, now all those people that are dumb and don't know that they're not making money by sending stuff in for what they pay for it or a couple dollars over what they paid for it, they disappear, because nobody can do that forever.
Yeah, I need to get ungated of a few things too, because everything I've looked for Amazon, and mind you, I don't go out, daily looking for Amazon product. If I come across it, cool. But everything I see is all gated that is, good to sell.
Right. Yeah, I remember, gosh, it was like 3 weeks ago, I think. I bought all these like razor heads, and they were all Gillette, but they were like $5 each on the clearance rack at Walmart. And I scanned them on Amazon, and they were going for like $35. And I know people that are ungated that can sell health and beauty, so I just bought them thinking that I'd be able to sell them to them, for like $10 a piece or whatever. And they could either ship me their packing labels, and I would ship it to Amazon, or I could just send it to them and make some money and help them out. And but then it turns out that you can't sell Gillette stuff even if you're open for health and beauty. It's like kind of like some of the clothing stuff. You can't sell certain brands because you don't own the brand. But
wow.
I ended up putting them on eBay though, and I'm still making like $15 or $20 a box on those things. And I mean, one of the lots that I put up sold, like I put four of them, like quantity 4 in one auction, because I had 4 of them, and they sold as soon as I put them up, and so I mean, I've still been making money on it. And just because you can't buy something and sell it on Amazon doesn't mean that you can't still sell it on eBay. And if you're trying to get your receipts to get unrestricted, then that might be something you can do when you find something that's just a total steal. Just buy it and put it on eBay, and then.
Well, right, and that's a good example because, like you said, you can't sell some brands on Amazon, which means that nobody's selling them on Amazon except Gillette. So everybody's going to go to eBay looking for that item if they want to get a deal on it,
Right.
Probably why you've been doing well over there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still selling them for half what they would sell for on Amazon, but I'm happy with it. There were some of those razors I paid $1 each for, and they're selling for $9 a box plus shipping. Yeah, and right. I mean, most of the time when people are buying these things, they're buying 2 or 3 of them at a time. So make a couple dollars on the shipping as well. It's pretty cool. What about Brian? I know you're starting to get into Amazon, and you're thinking about. Have you been doing any arbitrage, or are you just buying stuff from thrift stores and things like that to send in?
I'm putting some stuff aside, and actually this time getting into reselling, I was Amazon at first before eBay. So I did do the retail arbitrage thing, and that's where I do have some experience at, and with sourcing and certain programs online to look at things. It's just the way I was doing it is more money up front than what I could do right now. So now I'm just kind of switching gears, putting things aside that are I guess you could call it thrift arbitrage
Yeah.
or yard sale arbitrage, whatever it is.
That's what I do.
Just setting those aside and selling the other stuff on eBay until I'm ready and set, and I want to start crossing from eBay into MF Amazon, then into FBA. So
Yeah, I've actually been doing quite a bit of thrift arbitrage myself, yard sale arbitrage. I mean, anytime I see something that's new in the box, I will just scan it. And when I'm at the weigh and pay, if I see something sealed, that's what I'm grabbing first. And that's paid off pretty good for me. I mean, I've pulled some stuff out, like people just leave them behind. Sealed puzzles, sealed board games, stuff like that. And I mean, I just grab it all, Nerf guns, just whatever. And now that I'm starting to learn more about like the merchant fulfilled side of it and the kind of stuff like how to list stuff that isn't new on Amazon, I've been doing more of that as well. Like I'm sending my video game systems to Amazon now. I'm sending like my Wii Fit boards to Amazon. I'm probably gonna start sending my Guitar Hero guitars into Amazon. I haven't decided on that yet, just because they're kind of big. But I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you can sell on Amazon, and when you start looking at the prices, the difference, I mean, it's unbelievable.
yeah, like especially the Guitar Heroes, you might get say 30, maybe $40 off eBay.
This just
But-
made a weird sound.
But if you get it onto Amazon,
Working too good.
it could be a lot more depending upon the guitar.
Yeah.
And that's just how Amazon is, especially in between merchant fulfilled MF and FBA. FBA gets the higher price just because of the prime people that are there. That's why you see MF being a lower price and FBA being a higher price. Prime gets that stuff. These people pay the money to get that free shipping, and they will use that.
That, and I think that they feel like when they're buying something through FBA, they're buying it directly from Amazon, and Amazon has done such an awesome job of really developing that customer, making the customer feel good about using them. They feel like there's value, and they would just rather get it straight from Amazon than have to deal with somebody else. And the FBA has been pretty cool so far. Really, it's kind of funny. I mean, I've been selling stuff that, penny books that I sent in, and I mean, I'll just cycle through. There might be only 20 listings. I'll look through the listings to see what's going on with them, and there's two people selling them for a penny, another person selling it for $2.95, and then it jumps right up to $7 or $8. And so I'll just put it up there at the highest price, like $8, $9, $10, and they sell. And then I go back and look, and the other penny books are still sitting there. So it's pretty interesting. What's up, James? How you doing?
Good morning. Beautiful day.
Yes, it is. I don't know if you've been watching the show at all. We've been talking about our niches today and kind of how we got into it and stuff to look out for if you've got a weird niche or like not really bolos so much as what you can expect to deal with getting into it, the kind of stuff that you have to watch out for, and kind of our own experience like getting into some of the other stuff that we've gotten into in reselling since we started. But I don't know if you consider yourself, like, do you have a niche, or are you kind of just one of those guys that knows enough about everything to sell a little bit of everything?
Well, I have enough knowledge to be very dangerous. A little knowledge is a dangerous thing. I'm constantly learning new things every day. Clothing, you think you have it down, but you always learn something new.
Yeah.
And I believe that the day you stop learning is the day you die. So.
Oh yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, one niche Brian just pointed out was antique toothpicks.
I'm not in on that joke, but
Hey, I've got some made out of ivory.
ivory toothpicks. Yeah.
Thank you for that laugh, Brian.
So is there?
I'll have to give that link to Paul from the Toadcast.
Yeah, I think he has that pinned somewhere on his page. Yeah, that was a great segment.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and watch that for sure.
Oh man, yeah, that still gets me laughing.
Yeah. So, is there anything like anything that you say you learn all the time, but I mean, what can you share with the listeners and the watchers about the kind of stuff that like what you've learned and some of the mistakes you've been making recently, things that people need to watch out for if they're getting into certain things?
I've been rather fortunate. I'm extremely conservative of what I pick up. I have a smartphone. Thank you, Chad. Is he still in here? Yeah, he sent me out smoking a cigarette. But I'm not using it yet. I want to make myself efficient without that. I want to be able to pick things up that are going to sell, that I'm going to be able to flip, make a profit. So I'm being very conservative with what I do pick up. I'm sure I'm leaving a lot of money on the table on things I'm leaving, but I don't think I would not consider myself an expert on any subject. I'm just well versed and knowledge in a lot of things, but always learning new things. One thing I do like to keep my eye out for is antique wood, different wood items that you can tell by the patina. Metal objects, other things like that, decorative items, you can fake very easily. Wood, you have to. I've worked with wood, since I was in high school. I like carving, creating things, so I know what wood looks like and what antique wood looks like. So, and it's just experience. You just have to keep looking at something, keep researching it, keep learning.
Yeah, I know what you mean, and going out without the smartphone helps. There are days where I leave my smartphone at home, and half of it is because I just don't want anybody calling me, and I don't want to be bothered. But I use the excuse that I just need to go and pick blind every once in a while. And you're right, you leave money on the table. I run across all kinds of stuff that I'm not really sure on, but I don't want to. But it helps because you don't buy as much stuff when you don't have a smartphone, and when you got a glut of inventory that needs to get listed or stuff that just isn't getting sold fast enough, then you've got to definitely you got to tone it down, and that's a good way to do it. Is when you can start to leave stuff behind, you learn to leave stuff behind, and that's really important when you're sourcing. Anything you can do to help with that.
And yeah, I think leaving the smartphone home, it makes you think. It makes you learn. It makes you make mistakes, and you learn from your mistakes.
Yep, and it also makes you realize how much you don't know.
Yeah.
Well, what about you, Picker Army? I know you're the arbitrage expert. I want to hear some of your insights, and you're muted, so hold on. Unmute yourself if you're there. Nope, he's not there. Either that or he just doesn't want to give away his secrets. That's probably what it is.
We know he's stingy. He doesn't want the rest of us to be rich.
Wait a minute, you guys are rich?
Yeah.
Dang, I'm doing something wrong.
No, only Picker Army.
Only Picker Army's rich. Okay.
Yeah. In Picker Army land, I am.
What was this color of the sky in your world? Yeah.
Green. Everything is green
with
in my world.
Sounds like everything is awesome.
Hey, I'm a millionaire in dinar.
Yeah, it's about as good as being a yurtle there, right?
There's one to tell people don't get into the whole foreign currency exchange unless you absolutely know what in the world you're doing.
I'll tell you this, though.
So many people, though, have, I got into this dinar thing. Did you see this? It's going to pay off. I'm going to be a millionaire. It's going to be awesome.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. Don't fall for all that shit. But what you should fall for is if you're an estate sale kind of picker, anytime you see foreign currency at an estate sale, especially if it's cheap,
Oh yeah.
grab it.
Most of the time, it's
Chances are you can still exchange it in. If not, you can still put it on eBay and people will still buy it.
Yep.
yeah.
And even sometimes, like like Indochina, some of the places that the currency doesn't exist anymore, I had picked up 3 consecutive bills at an estate sale from it was somebody that was in the military and traveled. Well, there were 3 Indochina bills. I sold them for $250 a piece as a set.
Nice.
So, I mean, I got $750 out of 3 bills.
I'll tell you one thing that I do look out for is newer used computers, and especially computers that look like they've been overclocked with like special the lights and all that still have the hard drives in them. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Bitcoin. I'm sure all of you have, but
Oh yeah.
there are a lot of nerds out there that 2 or 3 years ago were overclocking their computers. I was one of them 10 years ago. I wish I was doing this when Bitcoin was around, because I would definitely still have the hard drive and I'd have a wallet with about 10,000 Bitcoin in it. But I mean, these things sell for like $1 million a piece.
Yeah, there's some of those hard drives are worth upwards of 10 grand on those clock computers.
Yeah. And I mean, if they have a Bitcoin wallet on them, they can, with even just like 4 or 5 Bitcoin in them, you could be talking millions of dollars. So you just have to do a little research to find out how to find those. But I mean, even if you don't have a Bitcoin, even if it doesn't have a wallet on it, you can always just sell it on eBay. Don't wipe those hard drives.
Yeah.
Hey, I can't remember what retail website I was on. It might have been Amazon. Does Amazon accept Bitcoin?
I am not sure. I would imagine they might, but I don't know.
I think it was them. I can't remember. But I was on some large retailer's website. I want to say it was Amazon that accepted Bitcoin. I found that kind of interesting.
I know.
Eric, I recall there was.
Now.
I do recall there was a post probably about 2 to 3 weeks ago that it was a big company. It was either eBay, Amazon, Bonanza. One of those was accepting some type of payment with a Bitcoin.
Yeah, I want to say it was Amazon.
It wouldn't surprise me just because there are so many tech startup guys that are involved in the Amazon, just like the whole internet thing. I mean, there's a lot of money pouring into Amazon from investors.
Right. I just thought it was interesting just because, Bitcoin is pretty volatile from what I understand, that they would accept,
I was too. Yeah, I was surprised at that.
It's not the Bitcoin that's volatile, it's the fact that there are so many different ones now. Bitcoin is Bitcoin. There are other types, there are other brands, I guess you could say, of the virtual money.
Well, Bitcoin is the gold standard of virtual currency. That's the bottom line. Bitcoin is the gold standard of virtual currency. The way that it's programmed and everything, there's just no way to hack it or anything like that at this point. I mean,
no, it wasn't Amazon. I just looked.
But that's something to let people know too, is that not all virtual currency is Bitcoin. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different.
Oh, it was PayPal.
Of different virtual currencies. They're not all Bitcoin.
Well, that's the thing. There are some other virtual currencies that are still good money, and I mean, you can get into that, and if you spend a few hundred, well, I guess you'd have to spend about $1,000 on a decent rig just to get started. But if you can make a Bitcoin miner, and you're probably not going to mine any Bitcoin with it, but you can do some of the lower end currencies.
Doge coins, yeah.
Yeah.
But you need to see how much is left and how much has already been harvested and what the total amount is that they were going to have out there.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them are just about mined out.
Yeah, I don't really want to get into it too much because I don't think any of us know enough to be talking about it.
We did it for a while, so.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking about doing it. Like I said, I was a computer geek for years. I still kind of am, and I mean, I've always built my own computers, and I know enough to be dangerous for sure. But we do have a question in the comments. Does anyone have any experience? Trip NC asks, does anyone have any experience with old photos? I just bought some at a state auction. CDV carbonate cards. Any advice on what sells best? And I think we have
I
a
think
photo.
that's supposed to be cabinet cards.
Cabinet cards. All right.
Yeah, I don't know anything about photos.
Okay. Well, is there anybody that does? Anybody?
I'm joking. It all depends on what he's got. CDVs and cabinet cards, they're they can go anywhere from a couple of dollars on up. Not all of them are as desirable. When you have tin types, pretty much any tin type that's in good condition is going to sell. It's not the same with CDVs and cabinet cards.
Content.
Yeah, it comes down to the content, just what's in the picture. Going to have to do some research.
And you just have to be able to pick out the good ones, is what you're saying, basically. Artistic
I
eye.
will tell you, if it's got names written in the album, or you can identify any of the people, do your best to keep the names with the photos. Me personally, tin types, I attach a sticker to the back and write the names on it if I know who it is. Cabinet cards and CDVs, I write it on the back in pencil. It's important to try to keep the history with it, and it will actually help your value as well.
Okay.
Should you do it in pencil or should you do it in acid-free ink?
I do it in pencil. It's just, to me, it's the safest way to do it.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, I mean, we were talking about retail arbitrage, and Picker Army started to say something, but then he just kind of acted like he wasn't listening.
I don't know. I think I lost my train of thought. Oh, what we were talking about on retail arbitrage, particularly. We went through about 15 subjects on retail arb. I missed.
Yeah, that's basically just your experience. Like give some tips on how to find items, how to find secret items. You don't have to give out any items. You don't have to say where to go. But the kind of stores to look for. Like, are you going to department stores? Are you going to thrift stores? Are you going to like smaller specialty shops? I mean, what kind of stuff? I know you've been really successful with it. I mean, what kind of places do you go? Just vaguely try to describe it.
Well, I mean, it's like you talked about earlier. You get into those, whenever you're in the categories that nobody else is in, obviously you're going to do well. When everybody's trying to break into those and you're already there, you're going to do a little better. I do a ton of health and beauty from just about every place. Discount stores are awesome. But I know you guys hit on the fact that you're hitting clearance, and that's great for starting out because you can find some pretty good, double, triple, 3-4 times your money sometimes on items. But if you really want to be, making money on a consistent basis, hey, made some money. Speaking of making money, if you want to make some money on a consistent basis, you got to start looking at things like replens, things that you are gonna be at the place that you pick them up every single time. So, items like like a bag of potato chips, a specific bag of potato chips. You find that you can make 40, 50, or up to 80% on that bag of chips straight off of the regular retail shelf. And you can pick them up on a consistent basis. Those are your replens. You pick those up every month and sell them every month. And once you get a ton of those, you can start looking into possibly get them. I mean, it's just you're kind of working yourself up. So you're making some pretty decent money at them, and then, okay, if you continually do that, those replens work out. Then maybe you start trying to find wholesalers of those exact same items. So instead of buying them at a retail price, you buy them at a wholesale price. But initially, if you're just talking about new folks, I think personally the yard sale arbitrage and thrift store arbitrage, along with clearance, is the best way to start. And then you kind of work up from there. What I've done in the past is I've searched all the clearance, and then I might find like 2 or 3 items in specific areas of the store to just scan them, or scan like a shelf just to see, does something on this shelf make money, and maybe it's something I can make money on a consistent basis. Instead of trying to scan an entire store, I just scan like parts, things that, maybe a name brand item in a discount store, that kind of stuff.
Now, are there any sections when you first walk into a store? Are there any places that you make a beeline for?
Clearance. Every time, clearance. No question. I mean, even though I'm doing replens and things like that, you still want to hit those other load types, items, and those are going to be the clearance items. The thing is once you clear out the clearance, it doesn't come back. It's not like next month that clearance is going to be there again.
Right. So, do you think that replens are the key to really making money on Amazon?
No. The key to making, if you're talking about real money or just consistent money, there's a difference. I mean, if you're making like, you're talking about doing, private labeling and that type of thing, and even purchasing wholesale. But all items have a lifespan when it comes to retail. So that's the other thing, is you have to continually work it. So those potato chips that you were selling great for 3, 4, 5 months, or maybe even like up 8, 9 months, eventually their lifespan goes away. People don't like them anymore. Especially if it's a newer hot item, some kind of buffalo chip that they just came out with and everybody's buying it up. They have a lifespan that ends. But and that's with every item. But if you start private labeling, it's going to be the same thing. It'll get hot, and you'll have buyers at the end, but it won't be the money you were making at the peak. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I would like to get into the private labeling. I'm pretty far away from doing anything like that, though, just because there's so many hoops as far as insurance and stuff, and like the amount of money that you have to have up front. I think I need to get to the point where I feel really comfortable first. I feel comfortable enough with Amazon that I'm not worried about, walking into a store and buying a bunch of stuff and selling it. I mean, it's pretty easy to figure out what stuff is actually selling for. And if you find that item that is $1 and it's selling for 15, and there's 20 of them on the shelf, why not just buy them? Now, what about bundling? Have any of you guys tried that at all? I mean, I know Catherine talks about it a lot. I've actually thought about doing it. I was thinking about it yesterday. There's so many things at Dollar General that were just $1 that, I mean, it seemed like the kind of stuff that I might be able to get, 10 or 15 bucks out of on Amazon.
Well, bundling is not a bad thing. It's just like finding a hole somewhere in Amazon. You own that listing. You bundle up, you make your own listing, and you basically own it. So there's going to be nobody else on it, at least for right at that time.
Right, until somebody figures out what you were bundling, and then they start sending their stuff in cheaper, and then they want to have a race to the bottom. But
doing that, you're going to have to buy some UPCs, and I bought them before off eBay pretty cheaply, but it's just that first time, just like the first shipment of sending into Amazon. You don't know how to do it. It's unknown. It just looks overwhelming, but really it's not.
Yeah. Oh, I just noticed something. We just hit 30 viewers. That's the first time we've hit 30 viewers. Not bad for day 3 of the second week.
Congrats, man.
Thanks.
Hit the like,
everybody.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for
watching. Hit the like button. Like.
Yeah, hit that like button. I think it's, right over here? Is that it? Yeah. But, yeah. Now, Eric, you said that when you're doing retail ARB, you're just sticking to the clearance racks?
Yeah, I really don't scan much retail stuff. Just haven't expanded that far yet,
Right. Now, when you were doing that book sale, I saw that book sale you were doing. Were you just doing everything on your phone with Profit Bandit, just going down the line and scanning every book and pulling out the ones that were worth money?
Yeah, I'll actually tell you what I did specifically. I went on 50% off day. My goal was to hit all the real popular sections, computers, business, stuff like that usually art, all those kind of sections that usually have some better books in them. and I scanned literally every single book in that section. The only books I purchased that day were valued over $20 and under 2 million rating. So when I went back on box day, I immediately went and cleared out the reference section, because between myself and whoever else needs them, reference books will sell. And then I went over and I hit up the religion, philosophy, writing, and political section, while I seen some other retail arbitragers with their phones out scanning all the business books and everything else that I'd already hit the couple days prior.
Nice.
And so I started scanning through all those books and taking what I wanted, knowing that all that was left in those other sections were valued under $20 or too high of a rating for me.
Gotcha. Now, how many books were you scanning an hour, do you think?
Let's see. Well, when I went back on box day, I grabbed, I think, 140 books, and I was there an hour and a half. So I probably scanned 300 to 400 books.
Wow, so like you would say 3 books you were keeping that they were $20 or more?
We'll just do that.
Yeah, well, on box day, I took anything over $10.
Oh, okay. And were you looking closely at the? Were you just basically scanning it? If it came up for more than $10, you kept it. If it was less than $10, you put it back.
Well, it had been over $10 and under 2 million.
Okay. Yeah. So you weren't looking at like the breakdown. Were you looking at FBA only? If there were 1 million people selling it for a penny, but no FBA, were you still picking it up?
Not unless it was under 2 million and over $10. Thing was, I was only spending 20 cents a book, so I'm sending 250 books in. I think I purchased 260, so I have about 10 books that just didn't make the cut to be worth to send in. And that's no big deal. It's going to get stuck in my flea market unit, and it'll go off to the flea market in the spring.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's one thing that I need to do is figure out a way to get rid of some of my extra books. I've got a place that I take my books to, but there are so many books floating around in my area that there's no place that'll just take them all. They're very, very picky about what they'll take. I mean, if I'm picky and I pick up really good books, I can take those to a couple of stores and maybe sell half of them. And I mean, then when I put them back on Amazon, the rest can go to Amazon. But that's just when I decide I want to make some quick cash on stuff. And plus, before I was doing FBA, that's how I was selling all my books. So I would have, I'd go to a garage sale and pick up 20 books or 50 books or whatever. I'd just ask them, hey, how much for all the books? And they look at you like you're crazy for a second, and they go, you're going to take all of them. And most of the time, they'll let you have them for $5 or $10.
Yep.
The most expensive lot I ever picked up like that was like 2 big boxes. I paid $20 for them, and then I got them home, and one of them was a signed copy of Michael Jackson's Moonwalk, his autobiography, first edition. That was pretty nice. But but then I just take those books and I take them to this bookstore that gives you store credit, and I take the store credit and I'd walk around. They sold all their old video games, like all their anything that wasn't a present or a new system, for $2.98 a piece. And I would just walk through I'd pick out everything that was worth more than $5. And if you're dropping off $100, I'd probably get $1 to $2 a book on average, maybe 50 cents to $1 a book. But when you're not paying much for them, it's okay. And so I'd have $100 in store credit, $50 in store credit. And I'd be buying all these $3 games and flipping those for anywhere from $10 to $50, depending on what those were. So that was a pretty good racket for a while. I just ended up with a ton of books. And then I started scanning them for FBA, and I still have a lot left that are just penny books that I don't really want to risk it on. But those are the ones I need to figure out how to get rid of now.
And that's what I do a lot of times when I go to the yard sales. I'll just peruse the books and make them an offer of the price. And a lot of times I'll let them throw a number out first.
Oh, you always let them throw the first number out. That
Yes.
way you get a really good idea what they expect to get for it. Because it's not like it's every time that they're like, yeah, you can have them all. I mean, a lot of times people are like, oh, $2, best I can do. Seriously, I'm going to take them all. I'm going to get them out of here for you. Now, $2 a piece. Whatever. And you know you're wasting your time.
Hey, sometimes that can backfire though if they've got a big number in their head.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. You got to be able to walk away, you know?
I just, for me, because I like dealing in volume, I just look and see what I'm going to make on it, and I make my offer based on that. So, yeah, it might be a little bit higher than what they want, but sometimes I might, bring them down to reality so I can at least still make the deal,
Yeah, if you start the conversation off, though, with listening to their number, I think that you can bring them down to earth a little bit easier when you know where they stand instead of trying to, like, some people just get offended, It's like you don't know what they're thinking, so you lowball them, and then they're like, oh, my gosh, I can't believe you would even waste my time making that kind of offer, and then you don't have the conversation's ended. But I don't know. It's a little different for everybody, I think.
Like when I went to Las Vegas and went to the yard sales, and this one person had it was 4 boxes of books. I asked them, how much did you want for the books? And they were saying, oh, anywhere from 50 cents to $1. And I said, well, how about $20 for all of them? And she said, okay. And I guess she didn't even think about it, so I took them. But it was like $79 retail that I sent into Amazon. And I called them, probably about 30% of them I donated because it wasn't even worth sending in. But you just never know.
Yeah.
And yeah, let them throw a first number out. But if it's a little bit too high, just throw a number back at them. See what happens.
Yep, exactly. I mean, you can always bargain with them, and like I said, you can usually tell. I mean, there's times where maybe it happens more with DVDs, I think, but I'll see a big box of DVDs, and how much for the DVDs? $2 each. Well, what if I take them all? I could do like $1.50 each, and then it's like, okay, well, I'll take this Disney movie, this Disney movie, this Disney movie, this Disney movie, this box set, and this box set, and I'm out of there. I mean, just because they give you a price that's too high for you to take it all doesn't mean you can't still look at it and cherry pick. If they want you to cherry pick, then that's what you got to do. But yeah, I remember one time I was at a garage sale and this guy had a box of DVDs, and he was like, how much? And I saw these kettlebell DVDs in there. I was like, you have the kettlebells? Like, oh yeah, I got the kettlebells in the house. I didn't even think anybody would want something like that. And he comes out with this 35-pound kettlebell and a 25-pound kettlebell. And I don't know if you've ever looked those up, but I mean, I do kettlebell workouts, so I kept them. But I mean, those things go for about $2 a pound. And I was like, okay, well, how much for everything? He's like, oh, with the kettlebells, like $20. So with the DVDs, I pull them out, and it's like the entire series of what was it, Criminal Minds or something like that, one of those big shows. I sold just the series of DVDs for $100, and then I had the kettlebell DVDs, which go for anywhere from $5 to $20 a piece, depending on who it is. And I mean, that's kind of stuff that's nice to find every once in a while. I wish more garage sales were like that.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I do find my best deals at garage sales.
Definitely. I feel like you got to go to a lot of garage sales to find the best deals, and sometimes it gets frustrating. And I mean, I start to, I just lose a little bit of my focus, I guess. I mean, by the time I'm at my 4th or 5th garage sale where I can't find anything that's worth my time.
A lot of times, when you go to yard sales and you don't see what you like, I think it was Picker Army who would say, hey, where's your Legos? Or, I say, hey, where's all the books? Or where are all the DVDs? Oh, I have some in the room. I didn't know if I was going to sell those, but yeah, it's always ask. You don't see something, always ask them.
Anytime I get asked, so what are you looking for? Because that's how most everybody that's doing a garage sale around here starts the conversation. I'm just like, oh, well, really, I'm just looking for, like, video games and toys and stuff. And that's when, yeah, I get a lot of people that are like, oh, yeah, well, we got this or we've got that. But I've noticed a lot of them they're not selling that stuff at yard sale prices most of the time. I've never had a instance where somebody's like, oh, well, I got this Xbox 360 or I've got this old Nintendo.
You never know, though, until you ask.
Oh, yeah, well, it's just a couple words. You can always ask. Don't be afraid to make
time to ask for that stuff is whenever you see people with baby toys for sale. Because usually their toddlers are holding on to some of that stuff, and then if money is changing in their hands right about that time, you know, they're selling stuff at their yard sale and things like that. You see those baby toys or toddler toys, you start asking for the Legos and the games, because most likely they're still in there because they're afraid to take them from their kid.
Exactly. Yeah, there's I think Danica can kind of talk about some of the issues she goes through looking at her kids' toys that they never play with anymore that they won't let her have. But I don't know. You're right about that. I mean, anytime I see toys at a certain age range, I always ask. And you never know when you're going to get that mom that's just sick and tired of tripping over buckets of Legos. They're like, you know what? I do have some Legos. Because they're yelling at their kids. Like, you want them? Here you go. $5. Get them out of here. Yeah. But I think my mom did that to me when I was a kid. I was a Lego hoarder for sure, and she just got rid of them all one day. Couldn't find them, and she took them and threw them out or something. But yeah, that's going back to the niches. I feel like that's one of my niches, just Legos in general. But I never score the sets though. I hear about Mike and Jeff and all these other guys always talking about the huge collections of Lego sets that they find. I never ever find Legos in those sets. If I do, they're open and they're all mixed together and they've got other sets mixed in, and I just have no idea what I've got. So I got really good at picking out the stuff that sells, like the minifigs that sell really well, how to bundle those, how to bundle like the bricks. I know Jeff's really good at that stuff. And he's been muted since he got in here. What's up, Jeff?
Hey, I gotta get going, fellas and ladies. I'll see y'all later.
All right, man. See you later.
Thanks for coming on, Eric.
Take it easy.
No worries. I'll be here tomorrow.
Great.
Just getting up and packing my first and only sale of the day. So.
Anything good? Was it worth it?
Yeah, it was a good Los Angeles Architect Starbucks mug.
Oh, cool.
With a chip in it.
Wow.
I have two of them up for sale, and they bought the one with the chip. And it's going across town.
Yeah, you know, I heard about those newer Starbucks mugs. Like, you could go in and buy them, and some of them were actually selling for like double retail. Of course, the Denver mugs are not.
I go in and buy all the San Diego You Are Here mugs, and I sell them for $25-$30.
How much do they sell for in the Starbucks? I just assumed that they were selling them for like $19.95 or some ridiculous price.
They're $10, $10.95.
Wow, maybe I should go back and start getting some of those Denver mugs because they're selling for $25.
Yeah, I grab them. I got the California tumblers up there for $30.
Nice. Yeah. Well, we've been talking about niches all day, and kind of what's your niche? How'd you get into it? What kind of niches have you picked up since you become a reseller, like gotten into, and what have you learned along the way, like getting into new niches, the kind of things you have to look out for and stuff?
I do board games are my big thing. I look for new sealed board games or even the used board games that are open. My biggest problem is I don't always count all the pieces while I'm there, and I don't know if you can see, I have stacks and stacks of games up there that are missing pieces and waiting to find that one piece to make it whole.
Yeah, when you're paying $1 or $2 or even $3 or $4 for games that are selling for 50 to 100, it's kind of worth it to hoard them.
Yeah. Yeah, even the thrift stores, most of the thrift stores, you get them for $3, $4, maybe $5 tops, and they're still worth 20 to 30, sometimes more. So, I mean, I've picked up new sealed wrap games at the Goodwills and the Salvation Army all the time, for anywhere between $2 and $5, and like I said, they go for $25 on up.
And a lot of those,
research.
you really have to sell them on Amazon to get the most money. Like I had a
Amazon FBA. I scan every single one. I don't take chances. And I mean, some I know, but I scan 90% of them to be sure because prices change day by day.
Right. So if you're doing retail arbitrage at thrift stores, then the board game section is something that you definitely should not be passing on because there's really, really good money. When I go to the thrift stores, I just grab all the puzzles and that are sealed. And usually I'll find one or two on the shelf. They're really obvious. And I'll grab anything that's got a seller wrap on it because it means that they're not taped. And I'll scan those first. And then if I see something that's interesting, I don't really take too much time on used games. But, you know, if you see like a weird Monopoly or something, don't even waste your time on eBay. Just check Amazon because, I mean, literally most board games sell for 2 to 3 times on Amazon what they sell for on eBay. And if you're into board games, you should probably really think about looking at FBA if you haven't already, or just fulfilled by merchant. But FBA is just easier. I mean, I picked up a Disney Scene it the other day for $4, brand new. Sold it for $100 within a week. I had a Risk game that was listed for like 2 or 3 months, brand new, sealed. Had this little collectible piece in it. But yeah, I was trying to get $60 for it. I kept getting these $40 offers, so I scanned it on FBA, and it turns out that there are a bunch of them merchant fulfilled going for like $60, $70, about what I was selling for on eBay. But there were 2 of them listed on FBA for $100. So I went ahead and sent it in for $99.95, and that one sold within a week. So I mean, you really, if it's merchant fulfilled, and that's all you see when you're looking stuff up, then usually you can get a lot more for it. You can check Camel, see what the price range looks for. Price range is and how often the stuff is selling for certain prices, and it'll give you a pretty good idea of what you can expect to get for your item.
And didn't you do a video recently on kind of like how to decode Camel?
Danica did.
Danica did?
Yeah, I'm still working on mine.
Yeah.
And it's not really much to it. It's got 2 tabs. One's a price history and one's a sales rank history. Just look at the sales rank history. Every time you see a spike upwards, that's the time it's sold. So you can see how often it's sold, when it's sold.
Right.
You can make the price tab.
When I go to Camel, there you just put in the barcode, and then you look down. There's like the new, used, and what's the other tab? There's like 3 of them. But just click on whatever one yours is, and it'll give you the highest price sold with the date it was sold on, the lowest price sold with the date that was sold on, and then an average, and like the last 5 sold listings, all just in one little space where it's really easy to see.
And 2 things, if you use Profit Bandit, you can, when you scan your item, you just click the title, and a wheel will pop up, and it says Camel there, and hit done, and it takes you right to the Camel site for that product. If you have used Chrome as your browser, there's an extension you can install which will put the price graph right on the product page, and then you can also put the little camel up in your browser address bar. You click that, and it'll take you right to the Camel page with that product too, so you don't have to input stuff twice.
Jim, you have somebody.
See, like for people, I don't know. At least for me, like when I first looked at Camel, it didn't make sense at all, and so I just didn't mess with it very much until I started seeing a video or 2 on how to read it and things you can do with it and stuff like that. And for people who are just getting into it, it might be a good idea to put one of those links in the video, the YouTube side of this.
Here's a screen share of Amazon page for Clue, the Office Edition, which I just sold. But if you have the Chrome extension, You can scroll down, you can see right here is the price history from camel, camel, camel. And it shows you the price going up and down over time. And then up here in the browser address bar is a little camel. You can click that, and it brings up a price graph there. The green line is Amazon sales, the blue line is third party, and then you can click the view product on 3 camels here, and it takes you right to the page. And again, there's the price history, and then more important to me is clicking sales rank, and you can see every little up click is a sale. And it's been going down, but I mean that graph is so blended together, it's selling almost every other day, it looks like.
Don't forget to change it to the last year.
Yeah, that's all. So you can go to last year or last 6 months there. But even the last 6 months, every uptick there for this game is a sale. So that tells me it's a popular game. It's selling a lot. It was selling for current price is $58 for third party. So that's pretty good. That's a new price. Camel doesn't show used price unless somebody said here in price history down here.
You're using
third party used, not in stock. I just sold mine. This is highest price $31. That was back in January 2012. And it says the last 5 price changes, so it can tell you what the last 5 price changes were.
Now, just curious, you're using Chrome to add on all those extensions and everything to your browser so that you can have the camel information and all that?
Yeah, this one's Chrome. I haven't found one yet for Safari. I tend to do most of my Amazon work in Chrome and most of my eBay work in Safari. I don't know why.
Yeah, I do almost everything on Firefox at this point. I'm going to have to look and see if there are any extensions for that because, I mean, I've been a Firefox user for years, 10 years probably.
Yeah, you can get the price graph right there on the Amazon sales page, so if you're just looking for price history, you don't have to jump. It's a good little extension.
Is that on the Seller Central, or is that for the Amazon main page? Like anybody can see how much this item's selling for?
Well, no one can see. This is the Amazon sale page right here. No one can see this graph but you, because it's part of the extension. I'm going to put this graph in for you.
Like, okay, say there's a seller or somebody that wants to buy something. Can they just add that little graph to every listing that they're looking at when they're trying to buy something?
Yeah, they just, if they know about Camel, they can just install that extension and they see it. Yeah, this is the seller page. So I can go to any product and I'll get that graph right there, and I can click the Camel to go to click to get more information without having to type the information twice.
Wow.
So like new fall toys event here. Oh, let's just look at the Disney Frozen ice skating doll. So I don't sell that, but there's the Camel price graph right there, with the orange being Amazon price at 25, and the marketplace new is the purple line going up and down. They're trying to undercut Amazon here. Amazon must be sold out now because they don't have orange there, unless they're going down and matching. But then you can click the camel up here in the address bar, get more information. It looks like Amazon here undercut the third party by $1. And then I can click the view product on Camel and get the sales rank. Yeah, it's going up, and it looks like it's selling almost every day here. Rank 62.
Wow. So the information is definitely out there. I mean, it's pretty easy once you get the hang of it to kind of find out how much something's worth, how much it's going to sell for. You really get to see that it's going to sell. I mean, yours will sell if you price it right. And
yeah, there's other sites too. There's another one's called Keepa, Keepa, and once you get into more advanced pricing strategies, when you start looking at items and things like that, you start finding out that items tend to jump. Some items tend to jump dramatically in price and sell at that price when Amazon runs out of the item. And with Keepa, you can actually look on there and see in the past when Amazon has run out of the item. So today you might be able to buy it for $5 and Amazon's selling it for $8. but then whenever Amazon runs out, it actually sells for 30.
In Keepa, you can actually do alerts just like that. If you have an item you're selling and you're waiting for the price to jump up, you can set up an alert so it emails you when that price has jumped up to above your line. And same thing if you're looking to buy products, you can have Keepa send you an alert when the price drops below a certain mark. So it's another good site to work with.
And Keepa, I believe they still have it where they show big price drops and big rank increases on items so that you can actually research and do online arbitrage with.
Yeah, it'll show you the top 10 drops and increases on their homepage.
Yeah, I'm looking at the chat here. It looks like Bill Nas is talking about some of the other stuff. There's a calculator, an FBA calculator widget. That's for Firefox as well, right?
I haven't used the widget, no.
I don't use the calculator either.
Yeah.
I mean, they kind of try to calculate the stuff. I know the Amazon seller app will calculate how much the fees are going to be for stuff and what your profit is.
I tend to utilize Profit Bandit for all of that stuff. So.
Yeah, I still need to get Profit Bandit, and I'll let you guys know. Maybe we'll get popular enough, then we'll all be able to use it for free.
Yeah, I'll hold your breath on that one.
Yeah.
Jeff?
I wouldn't. Oh, go ahead, Brian.
Jeff, there was somebody in the YouTube chat asking what your YouTube channel name is.
Oh, it's CosFrog1, COSFROG1. YouTube.com/user/CosFrog1. Another good tool to use, especially if you're doing a lot of one item and you want to track the sales history and everything, is FBAtoolkit.com. And with that one, once you put a product in, if they haven't been tracking it, you can see each seller's stock level, and then day by day you can see who sold it. You know, if it's had 3 sales, you can see which one of your competitors had actually made the sale and what they sold it at.
What's the name of that again?
FBA Toolkit, I think it's .com. And you're allowed for free, you're allowed to actually personally track 10 items. And so, like, especially if you're wholesaling something, you can actually see what your other competitors have been selling it for, how many they've sold, you know, how much they still have in stock. So it can kind of help you, know, hey, they got too many of this product, I shouldn't even bother, and they're selling it for so low. You can see the whole history of, the past 30 days or so, what their stock level is, when they got more stock in, or if they're about to run out of stock, so you can list your item now. Your thing.
Right. So, wow. And can you track 10 items at a time? Can you switch them out, stop tracking one, and go to another one?
Stop tracking one, stop tracking another. And even if you don't track, beyond your 10 items, you can type in the ASN for any item, and you'll see a history of it. So,
okay. So you can always get the information.
And also tell you a graph of every category. If it has a sale rank of 100,000, it will, based on history, it will give you approximate. That means it's selling 2 items a day or selling 1 item every 4 days. So if you're thinking of selling an item, you can get an estimate, and I highly emphasize estimate, how often it should sell at that sales rank. It's a pretty good site.
Sounds like it. I'll be checking it out as soon as we get off here, for sure, I think. And yeah, it looks like it's getting to be about that time, everybody. We're getting close to the hour. Just wanted to thank everybody for watching. I wanted to also mention, last night I posted a 100 subscriber video list, or a video giveaway, sorry. Go check out the video. It's in my channel. You can subscribe here, like, comment. I know. What was your YouTube channel again there, Jeff?
It should be CosFrog1, COSFROG1.
COSFROG1. I know Picker Army's got a YouTube channel. What's your YouTube channel?
Picker, Picker, Army,
Right.
ARMY.
Right. And Jake is his name, Jake Smith. Go check his out. He's got his little show. Everybody knows the Golden Finger Picker. If you've been watching this show, then you probably found it because you know who he is. Arbitrage Albatross.
Yes, I am Arbitrage Albatross, and if you look over there in the comments of YouTube and click on my name, it should take you straight to my page.
Right on. And Callie Picker, you got any more shout-outs today? I know you got a channel. Go ahead and dump it.
Yeah, my channel is Callie Picker, and I do a show called Do You Know Who I Am? Interviewing different resellers. And also, I do have a shout-out for Sammy Davis. She had put her ebook out yesterday. It's called Love Your Life. Check that out on Amazon. It's 99 cents. And yeah, it's a very good inspirational book. That's Sammy Davis and Love Your Life.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, you can, pretty sure, all right, so that's it. That's the show today, everybody. Thanks a lot for watching. We went over a lot of stuff. If you missed any of it, you can always go back once it goes live and check it out that way. Don't forget to check out my giveaway video if you want to enter. Well, I'll let you watch the video and see what I'm giving away. But go check it out. I'll leave a comment. Have fun, everybody.
Something else. So I got one more thing because she reminded me.
Uh-oh, what is it? What is it?
It's not just Arbitrage Albatross on that channel. He also got somebody else on there.
It's Biscuit Head.
Biscuit Head!
The story of the show.
All right, that's all I got.
The show anytime she's on.
And you should change that name to Biscuit Head and Albatross.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely. Thanks everybody for watching.